Product roadmaps. They're supposed to be this amazing source of clarity for everyone. But let's be real. Why do they so often feel like a source of dread? Well, in this Explain 'Em, we're going to pull back the curtain, demystify the roadmap, and show you how to turn it into your team's most powerful tool. So let's get right into it. And right here, this is the core of the problem. This is where all the frustration comes from. So many of us think of a roadmap as this rigid, set-in-stone promise. But honestly, that's a total myth. And it's a myth that leads to missed opportunities, burned out teams, and a whole lot of frustration. Today, we're going to shatter that myth for good. All right, so here's our game plan for today. First, we'll unpack the problem and the myth behind it. Then we'll look at the roadmap as the solution it's meant to be. We'll dive into the critical differences between roadmapping for websites versus apps, help you find the perfect format for your team, and lay out some simple rules of the road. And finally, we'll see how it all comes together as a living, breathing document. So, what happens when you don't have that shared story, that single source of truth? Well, you get chaos. You know the feeling, right? Your design team is pulling in one direction, your engineers are going in another, and marketing has no idea what's coming next. You're definitely shipping things, but it feels like you're just spinning your wheels, not actually going anywhere. This right here, this feeling is probably all too familiar. You're pushing out features, you're closing tickets, but are you actually making progress toward a bigger, more meaningful goal? That scattered feeling is a classic sign of a missing or broken roadmap. A good roadmap is the cure for exactly this. Okay, so enough about the problem. Let's talk about the solution. It's time to completely redefine what a roadmap is. It is not a glorified to-do list. It's a strategic communication tool. Think of it as your team's North Star. The absolute key word here is communication. Your roadmap isn't about listing every single tiny detail. It's about providing the why behind the work. So when that next shiny new idea comes along, your team has the strategic context to know if it's just a distraction or if it's a brilliant new path to your goal. Look, it really all boils down to these three simple questions. Think about it like you're planning a journey. What's our destination? That's what we're focusing on. Why are we even going there? That's why it matters. And what's the first step we need to take? Well, that's what comes next. Simple as that. Now, this next part is absolutely crucial. Not all digital products are the same, right? And you can't just use the same kind of roadmap for a website that you would for a mobile app. It doesn't work. The context is completely different. And you can see the difference right here. A website is kind of like a flowing river. It's constantly changing, evolving. You can deploy it, change it any moment. So their roadmaps are super fluid, focused on continuous optimization. Apps, on the other hand, are more like a series of carefully planned steps. You're dealing with App Store release cycles, so everything has to be more structured. With an app, you literally have to earn that update from your users every single time. Okay, so which roadmap format is the right one for you? Honestly, there's no single best answer. It really depends on your team, your product, and who you're sharing it with. So let's take a look at a few of the most popular and effective formats out there. The big idea behind all of these is shifting your focus away from a list of features and toward the actual outcomes you want to achieve. A goal-oriented roadmap is great if you're laser-focused on growth metrics. A theme-based one gives you flexibility while keeping everyone aligned on the big picture. And if you're a startup moving at lightning speed, that now, next, later format might just be your new best friend. It keeps you focused without tying you to arbitrary dates. So, you've picked your format. Your vehicle, if you will. Now let's talk about the rules of the road. These are the best practices that are going to keep you on track and, more importantly, out of the ditch. The most important rule of all. Your roadmap is a living, breathing document. It's got to be flexible so you can adapt when you learn something new. It needs to be focused on the why, not just the what. And it absolutely must have a clear owner, someone who's responsible for keeping it up to date. Otherwise, it just collects digital dust and becomes totally useless. All right, now that you know what to do, let's quickly cover what not to do. These are the common traps that can turn a great roadmap into a roadmap to nowhere. The number one mistake, treating it like a contract carved in stone. Some other huge pitfalls are forgetting to plan for essential maintenance and tech debt, or letting internal politics drive priorities instead of what your users actually need. Okay, this is where it all comes together. This is the final and maybe the most crucial piece of the puzzle. Your roadmap isn't a document you create once and then forget about. It's the engine of a continuous cycle of learning and improvement. So it all starts with direction.
Your roadmap is your compass. It points everyone towards that strategic destination and gives the whole team the high-level plan for how you're going to get there. It's the single source of truth for your team's focus. Next up, you have your releases. This is where the rubber meets the road. This is you actually shipping stuff. These releases are the tangible result of your strategy. They deliver real, measurable value to your users and get you one step closer to your destination. Then you've got changelogs. Now, this might seem small, but it's all about transparency and trust. When you tell your users exactly what you've shipped, you're not just confirming your progress. You're proving that you're listening and delivering on the vision you set out. And finally, we have feedback. This, right here, is the fuel for the whole machine. It's the data from analytics, the comments from user interviews, the tickets from support, all of it. This is the information that helps you check your strategy, refine your roadmap, and set your course for the next leg of the journey. The loop starts all over again. So I'll leave you with this one question to think about. Is your current roadmap a source of stress, or is it a source of strength? Is it a rigid promise carved in stone, or is it an ongoing conversation that evolves as you learn? I've seen teams completely transformed by making that one simple shift, from promise to conversation. And I know you can do it too.